Hope, obviously bitterly disappointed, but an heroic display from the players. How proud are you of them?
Very proud, actually. It was a very, very difficult match. We had players that were dying on their feet. We couldn't make any more substitutions. But heroic, as you said, played for the penalties and unfortunately started well. Wasn't our day, but very immensely proud. I think they've done English football proud. I think they've done themselves proud, and you know, talent will rebound, as Howard Wilkinson says.
Overall, did you feel that you had more clear-cut chances to actually win the game?
In the first half, definitely not. I thought France were by far the better team in the first half. They hit the ground running. In the second half, we did better, created some chances. I think there was a couple, Ellen White, even in extra time, you know, a different day probably would have gone in. So we had a better second half, but our backs, I felt for most of the game, we were up against it. And I think you have to credit France. They really came at us, made it very, very difficult. And certainly in the first half, we were not ourselves. We weren't performing. Second half performance much better. 3 minutes away from a semi-final, but how quickly it changes.
As you say, only 3 minutes away from a semi-final. How despondent were the team after the game?
You know, I think it hasn't quite sunk in yet. I think as it, you know, today, tomorrow, they'll realise, they'll look back and go, you know, maybe the if-onlys, that will certainly come out. But it's tough to take when you're so close and then you're so far. But admirable performance. You know, we were playing with 10 players. Kelly was really struggling. I think the girls equipped themselves very, very well during this tournament. I think they've been a credit to England, as I said before. And as I said, you know, they'll bounce back.
Did the 5 penalty takers that stood up show you the kind of character you've got in this squad?
Yes, to be honest, I think it was difficult because when we came together, I said, right, who wants to take a penalty? You have to want to take it. And not many, to be honest. It's a difficult environment, and I have to say that those that did, you know, Claire Rafferty, brave, you know, Kelly could barely walk, came forward. Faye, as captain, said, look, if nobody else wants to do it, I'll do it. You know, Casey, vice captain, stood up. So I've got nothing but admiration for those players that did that. Unfortunately, France more clinical. We started well. You know, we've been practicing penalties, and Karen Bardsley, will do it in penalties because she stops everything because her reach is so big. But you, as I said, credit to France. They were very, very clinical, and we just lose out 4-3, which is tough. It's tough, but we gave it our best shot.
Unfortunately, Claire Rafferty, as you say, and Faye White missed their penalties. How were they personally after the game?
Upset. You know, Claire basically apologised straight away. You've got nothing to apologise to me for. You stepped up when others didn't. And Faye, absolutely distraught. And I was just, you know, again, you stepped up, you had a go. And I think everybody will look at her and go, you know, very, very brave. On a different day it goes in, it's a different story. But unfortunately, hers didn't. It's life, what can you do?
Many saw this year as quite a defining year for women's football, with the launch of the WSL and, of course, the World Cup. What kind of impact do you hope this will have on the women's game?
A very, very positive one, I'm sure. I believe the press back home have been very, very supportive, and they should be, because we've reached a quarter-final. The girls are representing their country. They gave it their all. I'm hoping that it will continue. I'm hoping that the interest will continue through the press, through the media, and that will entice more girls to come and join the sport. And hopefully from that we get a larger pool of talent, and we'll be back in the future.
And finally, Hope, obviously now that everything's come to an end, looking back on the World Cup experience, how will you describe it?
I'm knackered, I can't even think. I think, you know, a couple of days I'll just need to, I guess, come down. You know, it's been a busy tournament, it's been tough, it's been draining for everybody. So I'll need a moment and then I'll reflect. So come back and ask me this question in a couple of weeks and I'll let you know.